Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm State Representative David Knezek. I represent the communities of Dearborn Heights, Garden City, Inkster, Livonia, and Westland in the Michigan House of Representatives. I'm here today to talk about legislation that we've just introduced that will increase the accessibility and affordability of higher education here in the state of Michigan. After decades of substantial funding cuts for higher ed, the cost of attending our public universities is far too high for too many families. The choices that we lay in front of our high school graduates could not be more extreme. Either attend college knowing full well that you're going to be leaving under a mountain of debt that you might not be able to repay, or forego higher education altogether and lose your chance to compete for a 21st century job. In the 1970s, appropriations from the state of Michigan accounted for 75% of the budget at public universities. Tuition made up just 25% of those costs. Today, those numbers have flipped, and Michigan students are being asked year after year to dig deeper into their pockets, to fall further into debt, and to jeopardize their financial stability simply because they want to advance their higher education. Now, in my opinion, that's unacceptable. And so I believe, Representative Abed believes, and Senator Ananich believes that it's time that we put a stop to this trend and to invest in priorities that will attract students and families who want to live, work, and play and go to school here in the state of Michigan. That's why we've introduced the Smarter Michigan and Retaining Talent, or SMART, tuition program, with the long-term goal of removing every financial barrier to higher education. This bill would create a pilot program that allows 200 low and middle income students to attend college without the burden of crushing student loans and skyrocketing interest rates. However, this is not a free pass, and I think that's very important. Students would have to maintain a good GPA, and the program caps the number of years that a student can receive payments. In exchange, students would pay back a percentage of their income to the state. This is interest-free for a predetermined number of years after they graduate, and as soon as they find a job that pays them above the federal poverty line. This would then fund the payments for the next generation of students as college graduates pay it forward to help create a cycle of success here in the state of Michigan. And this time I'd like to turn things over to my colleague, Representative Abed. Theresa?
Thank you, David. I'm Theresa Abed from the 71st District, and I was proud to sponsor this bill along with Representative Knezek. As he has said so well, we have seen skyrocketing tuition, which has put college out of the reach for so many students. And for those who do graduate from college, they are in over their heads in debt. Many are paying high interest loans up to 30 years. As a school social worker in Eaton County, I saw students very often that were unable to pursue their career choice due to the high cost of college. Our program opens doors and allows more access to college. This is an interest-free loan program, so it will be easier to make repayments than under the current student loan system. And also, I think very importantly, it does not take from the state school aid fund, so it will not negatively impact our K-12 education. More Michiganders going to college will create a wide talent pool, attracting business to our state and creating jobs. There are currently 2 pieces of legislation in Congress that would fund state pay-it-forward programs like SMART, so I have introduced a resolution asking Congress for funding for this pilot program. If we open up access and affordability, it is a win-win for our students and for our state. Let's again make Michigan a land of opportunity. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to my colleague, Senator Jim Ananich, who has introduced identical legislation in the Senate. Jim?
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today. I wanted to sort of highlight some of the points that my colleagues made. I represent the communities of Flint and Genesee County, where one of the strongest and most growing parts of our economy is the educational system. We have 20,000 students in our community. Many of those students are determining where they want to live, where they want to start their families when they graduate. And as a former teacher, before I came to Lansing, I worked with students and had discussions with them about going to college. And many of the fears that they expressed to me personally was, how do I pay for this? Do I have to make a decision of where I live based on how much money I can make, or can I go into a field of study that I care about and want to be passionate about and live where I want to live? I think we all acknowledge that the next sort of big bubble, it's one of those bubbles that we everyone knows is coming is a student debt bubble. And we have to determine, are we going to deal with it now and be proactive and help kids across the country across the state decide where they want to go to school, or we're going to continue to push problems to the future. I think it's extremely important that we take action now, and I think this is a good first step towards that. And I want to make sure that I get an opportunity to introduce Michelle. She's from the Oakland University.
Hello. First, I'd like to thank Representatives Knezek, Abed, and Senator Ananich for inviting me here today to speak on this legislation. This legislation takes a proactive approach to solving the tuition crisis we face in Michigan. As a student at Oakland University and a voice for the Student Association of Michigan, I've been faced with many difficult decisions in the process of financing my education. I have had to choose whether or not to immediately apply for graduate school upon completion of my degree, or instead immediately enter the workforce because of the financial burdens associated with my higher education. Innovative approaches like this one proposed today should be studied. They have the opportunity to fundamentally change how students like me finance our education. Instead of paying interest on the money we receive to pay for school, many of us would prefer to have the money we pay go back directly to a fund that supports future students who wish to attend college or university but may not have the financial means to do so. I look forward to working with legislators like Representatives Knezek, Abed, and Senator Ananich to ensure that we break down these financial barriers to higher education and ensure that all students have access to Michigan's colleges and universities.